start. They were chopping and changing positions. No one seemed to want to lead. I thought Harry Wright rode a beautiful race on Restitution. You know, he's a master at Harry at getting horse to relax. Here's the winner, Pushy Dancer, coming up. Damien Oliver and Lee Freeman again. But you notice Harry on the fence. He had rested Restitution and got it to fight back very strongly along the fence.
War Danger's run third, number 3. So it's 11, 12 and 3. It's been an amazing week for Lee Freedman. I know this filly at one stage was set for the Oaks in very famous colours. And Lee's the winning trainer of Pushy Dancer, and he's talking to Peter Donegan.
Lee, I know you said to us the other day you were going to turn everything out, tongue-in-cheek. I bet you're glad you didn't.
No, well, actually, yeah. Funny thing, early in the season, we thought that filly was going to make an Oaks-type filly, and she drew one in a 2,000-metre race here and got badly checked into the fence. And the next run, she just didn't want to take part in the Oaks trial, so we just eased her training a bit and didn't do much with her in between, and it's obviously freshened up good.
Given the fact you thought it was an Oaks filly, I suppose you were pleased to see the pace clapped on by Harry over about the 1,200.
Yeah, well, the plan, we're actually going to ride her up in the box seat, but they just went along a bit too quick in front, so we rode her back today.
What about the plans from here on in? Just take every race as it comes, I suppose?
Yeah.
Nothing specifically in mind for her?
No, I think, well, it's nice for her to win a listed race. She's a black type winner now, which is great.
What about the events of the last week? How are you coping? Celebrations the other night?
Yeah, we had a little bit of a drink. Nothing too sensational yet, because, you know, we've still got a busy week ahead. I think we've got 8 runners here on Saturday, but I wouldn't be relying on me too much Sunday.
Mate, one last question. You're always so composed after races. Did it take a long time for the win on Tuesday to sink in?
No, not really. It was in a different situation. I remember you interviewing me after my first Melbourne Cup, and I was in a state of shock. But I really thought he could win on Tuesday, and it was more, you know, a feeling of satisfaction that he'd actually done the job.
All right, Lee, congratulations on Pushy Dancer's win too.
Thanks, Pete.
Lee Freedman, the winning trainer in race 4, the Hardy Brothers Jewelers Stakes. Numbers there 11, 12 and 3. The winner, Pushy Dancer, Damien Oliver. What a run he's having too. Caulfield Cup, Victoria Derby, another win over the Carnival. Restitution, Harry White second. Third placing going to War Danger, Michael Clark. Time for the journey, 150.7. A break coming up. Back to Flemington on the other side.
Welcome back to Flemington, Oaks Day 1992. We haven't had many, in fact we haven't had any this year. We had plenty last year. There is a protest, Peter Donegan, so we can't give you correct weight or anything for the moment.
Not as yet, Tim, and it is a double protest. It is third against both first and second. So Michael Clark, the rider of War Danger, has thrown in an objection against both the winner, Pushy Dancer, and the second horse, Restitution, alleging interference between the 100-metre mark and the 80-metre mark. Just recapping that the rules of racing do not allow us to show any replays of that interference or alleged interference, but as they pass the post, it's 11, 12 and 3. Pushy Dancer, the winner. Restitution second. War Danger third. Michael Clark, the rider of the third horse, throwing in an objection alleging interference between the 100-metre mark and the 80-metre mark. And Tim, for those once-a-year punters, if both protests are upheld, then War Danger will become the winner of the race. But we'll keep you up to date on what's happening on that protest.
OK, they're in the steward's room doing that as we speak. So for those of you watching your racing, well, only this once a year during this week, you might like to know what goes on in a protest. OK, let's show you. We filmed the one that happened in the Cox Plate. Let's have a look.
Melbourne Cup Week at Flemington offers the greatest prize money in Australia. It's the richest carnival in the world. Because of this, the incentive is to win, sometimes at all costs. Sometimes it has unhappy consequences. The first 5 jockeys are required to weigh in after they finish the race. It is here a rider can inform stewards of his intention to protest against a higher placed horse because of interference.
She now earns a place in history, but there is a warning siren.
Way down the running, Let's Elope takes the lead in the Cox Plate.
In this case, the protest was 5th against 2nd in last week's WS Cox Plate at Moonee Valley. The 5th horse was Better Loosen Up, and jockey Simon Marshall protesting against the 2nd horse, Let's Elope, ridden by Greg Childs. The stewards, headed by Chief Stipendiary Steward Pat Lawler, then call for the jockey, trainer and owner of both horses into the steward's room and go through all the details of the alleged interference.
Simon Marshall, as the rider of the 5th place getter, Better Loosen Up, you've lodged an objection against Let's Elope being declared second on the grounds of alleged interference from the 60 metres to the winning post.
Yes, sir.
That's so?
Yes, sir.
Would you go ahead and state your case, please?
Yes, sir. Well, with 60 metres to run, I was going for a run inside Let's Elope and had more momentum up and was picking her up quite quickly. Getting to the line, she shifted in a good 3 to 4 horses, I believe, and it's tightened me onto the horses on the inside, which left me no room before the post. Now, hadn't she shifted in, I could have got up and definitely run second, or maybe it was that close for first. I might have been able to win the race there. But it definitely cost me second.
Is that all now?
Yes, sir.
Greg Charlton, before making a statement, do you wish to question Simon Marshall?
No, sir.
Would you go ahead and make a statement, please?
As we come around the bend at the top of the straight, 200 metre, just before the 200 metre mark, I was out wide. I was making it run forward. My horse was under pressure and rolled in. I don't know. I thought it might have only been slightly until I see a head-on shot. I cannot clarify, but I did not know if I inconvenienced any other runner, and that's all I can say at this stage.
Once all the details of the protest have been put forward from both parties, the stewards will deliberate on whether the horse in question was denied a fair chance. The parties of both horses are called into the stewards' room again and informed of the decision by the chief steward.
Marshall, the stewards have considered your objection is upheld. The amended placings being Kinjate second, Slight Chance third, Better Loosen Up fourth, and Let's Elope fifth. Thank you.
Yes, now that's something you've never seen before, and we'd like to thank Mr. Lawler and all the stewards for allowing us into the room on that day. That was Cox Plate Day, and as you know now, of course, the protest was upheld. And as you can see, it's a very formal procedure, and Greg Child's pretty nervous there, but it should be a formal procedure, Peter Donegan, because there's a lot of punters' money resting on the outcome of a protest.
And a lot of owners' money too, Tim. In that case, Let's Elope had earned $340,000 for her connections by running second. She was relegated to fifth, and the owners finished up getting best wishes. That's all I got. $340,000 involved there. That really is racing's inner sanctum. And I know that stewards' inquiries are open to the media in Sydney, but that is something that I don't think we've ever seen here in Victoria. So Mr. Pat Lawler allowing our cameras in there on a very important race, the WS Cox Plate, and that really was a glimpse of what is going on behind closed doors at the moment. Not quite as much money at stake this time, Tim, but it's still very important, being a leg of the quadrilla here in Melbourne, and of course a race that punters all over Australia are betting on. And
Lance O'Sullivan is New Zealand's premier jockey. A natural lightweight, O'Sullivan has tasted success in some of Australasia's biggest races. He's been associated with horses such as Waverley Star, Horlicks, Mr. Tiz and Surfers Paradise. A big race rider, O'Sullivan can sum up a race perfectly. He's the most sought-after jockey in the Dominion. Surfers Paradise provided O'Sullivan with his first Cox Plate win in 1991.
Surfers Paradise has deep run the track. Surfers Paradise is swamping them. The New Zealander, Surfers Paradise drawing clear. Surfers Paradise has won.
The Melbourne Cup, like any racing enthusiast, is O'Sullivan's dream race. In 1985, he was only inches off that dream when the grey mare Coiro Corrie May was beaten in a photo by What a Nuisance.
What a Nuisance wins the fastest Melbourne Cup.
Watch for O'Sullivan during the carnival, particularly on New Zealand horses.
He wants to be a millionaire. I don't. With flashy flunkies everywhere. I don't. Who wants the bother of a country estate? Country estate is something I'd hate.
Yes, under the tree on a sunny and mild day, enjoying everything that is Flemington on Oaks Day. Well, we're on hold here.
Sydney Filly Burst is certainly no stranger to the winner's circle in major races. Last autumn, she won the 2-year-old Triple Crown, including the Golden Slipper, and her class gives her a chance. In the same category, Slight Chance. Unlucky in the 1,000 Guineas, she ran a terrific race to finish third in the Cox Plate and will appreciate meeting her own age and sex today. The Lee Freedman-trained Azuro dominated the early fillies races, winning 5 on the trot before battling into third placing in the Wakeful. Needless to say, the stable is firing. One stable that knows all about the Oaks is that of JB Cummings. He's won it 7 times and has the favourite Love Comes to Town and also Kingston Spirit. Love Comes to Town blitzed the field in the Wakeful, and stable foreman Leon Corsten says her huge build is an advantage.
You know, looking at her, I must say she's like one of the colts, you know. I suppose that's where she gets all the power from.
As for Kingston Spirit, Leon says she's better than her form suggests.
Well, her work's been very, very good, Peter, although she's been racing disappointingly. But, you know, if she sort of goes as well as she works, she'd be very, very hard to beat.
The other main chance looks to be Tempest Command. She chased home Love Comes to Town in the Wakeful, while Yodelay, Goog's Dream, Mahaya, Queen's Choice, Forget Playing and Racing Ruler, which all finished out of a place in the lead-up on Saturday, will need to improve to beat the favourites.
Yes, she's very short indeed. Love Comes to Town, very, very short. OK, protest dismissed. That means there is correct weight and we can pay you your money. Right around the country, here's the divvies.
Pushy Dancer $24.60 and $5.80. Restitution $2.90 and War Danger $3. Quinella $129.10. Trifecta $2,309.10 on 11, 12 and 3.
And there they are. And there is Flemington, 1992 on VRC Oaks Day. And the ladies looking an absolute picture.
And Tim just mentioned that the little girls do look beautiful at this time of the year, and they all look superb in the mounting yard, Doggy.
We're talking about the fillies here?
We're talking about the 4-legged ones.
Ah, yes, so am I. Number 4, Love Comes to Town, Peter. She's very short in the ring, very short on the tote. Absolutely outstanding win in the Wakeful on Saturday. She races well inside horses. She's drawn ideally in barrier 4. You can see there she looks an absolute treat here today. Even fitter, I think, than for Saturday's run. Entitled to start a short favourite. She looks a genuine stayer and going to be very hard to beat. Dangers, well, slight chance. Terrific run in the Cox Plate. If she hasn't taken too much harm from that run, I think she'll be right in this. And Azuro, Pete, drew awkwardly on Saturday. Probably got to the front a little bit early. I think she'll improve as well. And maybe on the dry track, Yodelay and Mahaya can get into the money. But I do like Love Comes to Town. I don't like tipping favourites, Pete, but she looks very hard to beat.
Yes, the class filly invariably wins the Oaks. Let's start.
Certainly was, Peter. She dominated the 2-year-old events in Sydney last autumn, as you said. Not racing quite as well, I don't think, in this preparation. 4th here in the Wakeful on Saturday. Quite a good run. She carried 57. She was conceding weight to other runners. She was beaten a bit over, or just on 4 lengths. She looks quite well. She's standing up to her racing. With Grant Cooksley aboard, he'll give her every chance, but I doubt if she's quite up to this.
I think slight chance is a definite chance in the race. Her win at Randwick 3 runs ago was excellent in the Flight Stakes. Funny run in the 1,000 guineas at Caulfield. She went back through the field, looked as though she was going to run last, finished up running 5th, and then a terrific effort. 4th past the post in the Cox Plate, 3rd relegated or going up there on protest. And on that run against her own age and sex here, the distance of 2,500 metres perhaps the query. I think she'll run a big race though.
3 Azuro certainly comes into the race very well, trained by Lee Freedman and ridden by Damien Oliver, who are carrying all before him. Azuro won 5 races in succession, including the Edward Manifold Stakes and the Group 1000 guineas before her 3rd in the Wakeful here behind Love Comes to Town on Saturday. She went to the front a fair way from home in that. I think she'll be ridden perhaps a bit more quietly today from barrier number 3. She's certainly going to be hard to beat because she's a class filly, and class always comes through in the Oaks.
Now the favourite, speaking of class, 4 Love Comes to Town, built more along the lines of a colt than a filly, and she was so impressive in the Wakeful. Prior to that, she should have won the 1,000 guineas at Caulfield. Was pretty unlucky there. I don't think it was one of Simon Marshall's better rides that day, but well, she proved the form good by coming out and winning easily in the Wakeful. She's on top of the ground. She'll handle that. She's short and she should win.
Number 5, Yodelay, with Mick Dittman in the saddle, is the one for Tim, and she's certainly the best-looking filly in the race. There's no doubt about that. She hasn't been suited by the wet tracks, but did run quite a respectable race when 6th in the Wakeful here on Saturday. She'll be better suited on top of the ground, and as you can see, she's a lovely filly by the top sire Masque and trained by Alan Denham. She'll run a bold race.
I know the Cummings stable hasn't given up hope about number 6 Kingston Spirit, despite the fact that she's been in the middle of the field at her last 3 appearances. She actually ran 5th in the Crown Lager Stakes at Moonee Valley behind Flitter at her last start, but her work has been very good, and if you go on her work, you'd give her an excellent chance. Her race form probably suggests it might be a little bit hard for her, but well, JB Cummings, he prepared the Quinella last year and he might do it again this year.
Number 7, Tempest Command, with Brian York in the saddle, must be respected. Came home fairly well in the Oaks trial at Geelong. Didn't have much luck early in the race, and then absolutely flew over the concluding stages of the Wakeful here on Saturday when second to Love Comes to Town. She's at very good odds, and anyone looking for Ruffy, I think number 7, Tempest Command, is the one for you.
Number 8 is Goog's Dream, won well on Caulfield Stakes Day, and that was on a rain-affected track. But after that, its form has been pretty ordinary, including 13th and 20 in the Wakeful. I find it hard to see Goog's Dream being in the finish.
Number 9, Mahaya, has Greg Hall in the saddle, so that's a recommendation on its own. She won the Geelong Derby, Geelong Oaks trial in good fashion. Only 7th here in the Wakeful on Saturday, beaten over 6 lengths. I think she'll probably find this quite difficult.
Yes, and the same applies for number 10, Bubble Over. Won at Moonee Valley 3 runs ago. 2 disappointing efforts after that. I find it hard to have her.
I think that also applies to 11, Queen's Choice, trained by David Hayes, ridden by Michael Clark. Only 9th in the Wakeful. Before that, her form was quite reasonable, 3rd in the Norman Robinson, but I think she's racing against better class today.
Forget Playing's got a fluking hope at odds, 2nd in the Oaks trial. Not bad when 5th behind Love Comes to Town. It's got a place chance at big odds.
13, Racing Ruler, with Alf Matthews in the saddle, is one of the real roughies in the race. Finished midfield in the Wakeful on Saturday. Her form before that was only ordinary, and it'd be a major surprise if Racing Ruler could figure in the finish.
Well, Strike High is probably going to find the class pretty hot today too, although she did run 3rd to Mahaya, beaten a bit over 2 lengths in the Oaks trial at Geelong, and prior to that 3rd at Werribee, but a big step up in class here. Graham, I think it all points to the favourite, really.
Yes, I think Bart Cummings can win his 4th Oaks in succession, Peter. Number 4, Love Comes to Town, certainly the one to beat.
So there's the scene as they go to the stalls for the VRC Oaks. That's race 5, the big event of the day on this, the 3rd day of the carnival. And the starting time is 10 minutes to 3. Very big crowd in attendance here at Flemington. Well, I think the presentation is getting set. They're not quite right yet. 57 on veterinary advice, Racing Ruler out of the Oaks Stakes, and the starter is moving them in well. In fact, they're almost set to go, so let's go up to Dan Malicki.
All set to go for the VRC Oaks Stakes of 1992. Love Comes to Town as the favourite. The light is on, and they're racing in the Oaks. Love Comes to Town has jumped away fairly well, but she's going to get back in the field today. Yodelay, one of the first out from Strike High, and Tempest Command, and Mahaya going forward with Forget Playing, followed by Goog's Dream. Slight chances going up 4 deep, gets to 7th out of the straight. Azuro back on the fence behind it. Then came Kingston Spirit, Love Comes to Town, Queen's Choice. Burst was second last, and Bubble Over at the rear, 12 lengths off the lead. Not a lot of pace on. 2,000 metres to go. Mahaya in front by a length and a quarter. Goog's Dream from New Zealand second. Yodelay was 3rd, and Slight Chance slipping up on the outside 3 wide. Forget Playing was 5th, a half length away. Strike High, a length and a quarter. Tempest Command, who settled well. 2 lengths further back to Kingston Spirit, racing wide around Azuro and Queen's Choice. 1.5 to Love Comes to Town. She settled well. 1.5 to Burst, and a length away. Bubble Over last of all, 12 lengths off the lead. Slight Chance goes to the front. They have about 1,400 metres to travel, and Slight Chance leads by a length and a quarter. Second placing is occupied by Mahaya. A length and a half back, 3rd on the inside was Yodelay. Tempest Command outside it. 1.25 lengths, then a Goog's Dream. Followed down on the inside by Strike High. Queen's Choice a bit worse than midfield. Forget Playing just up in front of it. Then came Azuro. Love Comes to Town around Kingston Spirit. Then Queen's Choice, and a length and a half back last of all was Burst. Bubble Over gets up at its inside. About 1,300 metres to travel, and Slight Chance in front for Shane Dye by a length and 3/4. Mahaya was second, 2.5 lengths away, then to Yodelay and Goog's Dream together. 2 lengths Forget Playing, followed by Strike High. 1.5 to Tempest Command. Queen's Choice on the rail. 1.5 to Bubble Over. Azuro outside it, followed by Kingston Spirit. Love Comes to Town second last. And last of all was Burst, and it's 12 to 14 lengths off the leader, Slight Chance. 900 metres left to go. Slight Chance in front by a length. Mahaya was second, Goog's Dream was 3rd, Yodelay was 4th, and Forget Playing 5th. Then Strike High, Tempest Command going forward. Around the outside was Azuro, followed by Love Comes to Town, Kingston Spirit in front of it. Bubble Over, Queen's Choice, and Burst last of all as they run up to the home turn, and they're bunching up. 600 metres left to go on the Oaks, and Slight Chance just the leader. Mahaya second, followed by Goog's Dream. Azuro running on with Kingston Spirit. Then Yodelay, followed by Forget Playing. Out very wide was Burst, running on with Love Comes to Town. Inside the 400-metre point, Mahaya the outside of Slight Chance. Yodelay gets off the fence, then Forget Playing. Goog's Dream down the outside. Love Comes to Town, and Burst are running on. 250 to go, and Slight Chance's kick back on the inside. Leads a half length to Mahaya, who can't go on. Then Yodelay, Love Comes to Town, and Burst. Slight Chance in front of Mahaya, getting close to the post, and Slight Chance is going to win the Oaks by a length. Second home, Mahaya Burst has got third, ran off the track in the straight. Then Strike High, Queen's Choice, Tempest Command, Yodelay. Close up Azuro, Love Comes to Town, Never a Chance from Goog's Dream Forget Playing. And Kingston Spirit back near the rear with Bubble Over. Well, you must give credit where credit's due, Gary Willits, and I know he, well, it's fair to say controversial ride in the Caulfield Cup on Viander Cross, but he did everything perfect on Slight Chance.
Dan, I think you'll find that Shane Dye's won the Oaks for Slight Chance. We'll most probably get a look at the start here later on, but Shane actually necked Slight Chance when the stalls opened to try and get her back to relax. He held her, and then getting down by about the 1700, he let her go to the front, and the other riders really played into his hands because he was able to just set a leisurely pace from the 1700. But I think when we have a look at the start, you can see where he actually takes hold of her, gets her back. Here's the start coming up now, and he's on the outside. Now you watch him when he jumps. He actually necks her, tries to get her back.
He almost come out of the saddle there.
He did, but see, he try and he get her back to relax. So I said, you haven't got much of a run down to this corner.
2-9 and 1, second Mahaya and third number 1 Burst. And there's the winner of the Oak Stakes, Slight Chance, and what a magnificent filly she is. At pretty big odds today for a horse who was placed in the Cox Plate. It's 2-9 and 1, fourth in Tempest Command, fifth was Yodelay, and the big disappointment, Love Comes to Town. 2-9 and 1 on the Oak Stakes of 1992, Pete.
Thank you, Daniel, and we're waiting for the winning connections. We'll talk to them very shortly. 2-9 and 1 time, 2:39.5. We'll take a break and come back and talk to the winning trainer, Bob Thompson, after the VRC Oaks.
Welcome back, everyone, to Oaks Day 1992 at Flemington. And very interesting, I didn't hear one single boo or jeer for Shane Dye as he came back. I think he might be the punter's pal. In fact, there he is coming back. Oh, one thing I did hear was some bloke said, what happened to Viander Cross? And I think that would be the least of Shane's thoughts at the moment, what happened to Viander Cross, because he doesn't care. He's sitting on top of the Oaks winner, Peter Donoghue.
Yes, and trainer Bob Thompson is just down here at the moment, Tim, so we'll get a word to Bob after the running of the Oak Stakes. Bob, congratulations. That was a terrific performance. She almost toppled over at the start there.
Yeah, Shane said she knuckled over at the start, and we're just having a look. She just caught at her front heel bulb, so that happened when she jumped out.
Did you predetermine to go to the front if the pace was slow?
Well, I left that up to Shane, but our whole idea was to jump out and go forward, which he did. And if he was trapped wide, to take a position along the back, and he elected to go to the front, and I was quite happy to see her in front.
You must feel vindicated after a great run in the Cox Plate. Now she's the best filly in Australia today.
I think she vindicates that now. She's certainly the best three-year-old filly in Australia, and I think she will get better as she gets older.
All right, well, the warning siren sounded, but Bob, I wouldn't worry too much about it. It'll be the late scratching of Racing Ruler, so I think you can rest easily.
Thank you.
Bob Thompson, the winning trainer. Graham Kelly's in there in the scales now with Shane Dye, the winning rider after the Oaks.
Congratulations once again, Shane.
Yeah, it was a great win. You know, I've always stated that she's the best filly I've ever been on. And that was even before the slipper and those type of races. And I'm just glad she's proved it, because there's probably only been 5 or 4 fillies that have ever run in the money in the Cox Plate, and she's one of them. So it just goes to show what a champion 3-year-old filly she is.
We were saying earlier when you won on Viander Cross on Kinnan Stakes that you give the punters plenty of excitement. That happened again today, but by accident, I think.
Well, it's good, you know. It adds a bit more life to the races, and I'm glad I can be part of it, you know. And
I was thinking more specifically about the start.
I nearly fell off at the start, yeah. She jumped in and knuckled, and I went over the side. I was just very lucky to stay on her. Just shows what a great filly is to pick herself up, because I went around the first turn 4 wide, so I let her stride to the front.
And the pace wasn't that quick at that stage, was it? It was sort of...
No, I set a nice pace. We run along, and she just run the journey out better than any other 3-year-old.
This was nice. As you're coming into the straight, others, including the favourite Love Comes to Town, were coming from the rear, but you always seem to have the race in your command.
Well, I thought Mahaya at the top of the straight was going better than myself, but I'm on such a gutsy little filly that she just keeps going and doesn't know how to give up. And at the furlong, when I got the better of Mahaya, I thought I had the race won.
And of course, you went on and won very nicely at the end.
Yeah, she's a very good filly.
And came back to a very good reception too, I might add.
Oh, there are a few boos, which is good. It just keeps them going. It just keeps them going. I've got to keep the crowd going.
Good. Congratulations once again.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Graham Kelly with Shane Dye after the Oaks Stakes, and there's that chunky little filly who has injured herself in the race. She's caught at her heel, but I don't think she's too worried about it. Slight chance. What a gutsy performance it was. The warning siren that you heard, as I suggested to Bob Thompson, was just the betting announcement with regard to the late scratching of Racing Ruler. Correct weight has been declared, and with correct weight, we can tell you what you're being paid all around Australia.
The Oaks win a slight chance, $7.90 and $2.30. Mahia $3.40, Burst $3. Quinella $64.30 in the trifecta, $1,100.20. 2, 9 and 1 on the VRC Oaks.
So a great performance by Slight Chance to beat Mahia, and Burst finishing wide out on the track third.
Right here.
Springtime in Melbourne, carnival time, a time to dress, to cheer, to row a boat down the Yarra, to ride a bike through some of the most picturesque countryside in the world, and race and jump up and down and dance. It is the very best time of all. For more than a century, for almost as long as this country has been, the colourful festivities of the Melbourne Spring have hinged on horse racing. Old-timers will tell you the heart and soul of Melbourne rests partly at the MCG and partly here at Royal Flemington, one of the finest racetracks in the world and proud home of the Foster's Melbourne Cup. The racing has been hotter than hot, right up to its usual lofty standards since the running of this race a little over a fortnight ago. Another time-honoured gem, the Caulfield Cup.
Viander Cross has taken the lead in the Cup. Viander Cross in front with 100 metres left to go from Mannerism, trying to get to it. Viander Cross just in front. Viander Cross the outside. They hit it. Bobbing finish. Very tight.
Through the Weight for Age Championship of Australia, the WS Cox Plate.
The outside Superimposed, followed by Prince Saleri. Halfway down the running, Let's Elope takes the lead in the Cox Plate. Superimposed flying home. Let's Elope. Superimposed. Superimposed. Let's Elope. They hit it. Superimposed.
And so to Flemington for the finale. The fashions, the fans and the fancy footwork. Tradition runs as thick and fast as the horses in this proud southern capital. Often Melbourne has been referred to as a staid old town. Melbourne is never stayed in spring. At this special time of year, Melbourne, make no mistake, is the best possible place to be, and for all the right reasons.
It sure is the place to be. I can tell you this is a fabulous week down here with Red.
They brought it back to 1,200 here to attract a better field and hopefully sprinters the likes of Scalacci, and they've got him here. Alishan number 3 is the scratching, so we're left with only a field of 8, and they'll dash down the straight at breakneck speed here, Dan, and Scalacci will be very popular amongst the rank and file.
The Grey Flash, and he's a very short-priced favourite. Redelva's $14.40, $15.70 for Quick Score. Scalacci $1.60 and money back for the place at $9.10 Tangi and Prince, $22 Del Rayo, $12 King Marauding, $5.90 for Mukhtar, and Facile, the 3-year-old, at $33.70 for the Linlithgow Stakes. And for the first time, this race will be run over 1,200 metres. Formerly, it was a 7-furlong event. All set to go. Linlithgow Stakes over 1,200 metres. Lights on in their racing. Scalacci jumped away best. Quick Score got out fairly well from Tangi and Prince. Facile showing a bit of pace, and Redelva gets back with Del Rayo early. After about 200 metres, and King Marauding's kicking up on the inside of Scalacci and Mukhtar in the centre, followed by Facile. Tangi and Prince was out wider from Quick Score, and then Redelva. Del Rayo's gone back to the tail of the field. 800 metres left to go, and Tangi and Prince whips across in front of King Marauding to lead. Third, Mukhtar, followed by Scalacci and Facile. Then Redelva wide out from Quick Score, and Del Rayo last of all over the crossing. 550 metres to go. Tangi and Prince up against the rail just in front of Mukhtar. Scalacci 3 out. 4 out was Facile. Redelva 5 out. Then King Marauding, followed by Quick Score, and Del Rayo last of all. 300 metres left to go, and Oliver gives Scalacci a bit more rain. He loomed up on the outside of Mukhtar and Facile. Tangi and Prince still going all right. Then came Redelva. 250 to go. Tangi and Prince are linked in front. Scalacci's under a little bit of pressure. Over on the outside, Facile. Tangi and Prince has kicked. He's a length and a half in front of Mukhtar. Then Scalacci, Facile, Redelva. Scalacci can't win. Tangi and Prince in front. Scalacci's going to miss a place. Tangi and Prince in front. Del Rayo flying home, but Tangi and Prince wins. Beat Del Rayo. Redelva might have just got third in front of Mukhtar. Then Quick Score, Facile, Scalacci, and King Marauding has run last. Well, there's a turn-up. 110.5 they've run. And Tangent Prince, number 5, ridden by Michael Clark, has won the Lynn Lithgow Stakes, and there's a few heads shaking, Gary. Well, it's yours as one of them.
Well, I just can't believe it. He travelled beautiful, Scalacci. He might have just been over-racing a little bit, but Tangent Prince always seemed to have him covered when Michael Clark went across in front of him. Oh, a good 800